Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is just going to be kind of like a regular reading vlog. I'm very much in a big reading mood, but I'm in the middle of 4 books currently, so I definitely need to make progress in the ones I'm already in the middle of before I start anything else. As much as I want to start a new book right now, that is not in the cards. As for my plans this week, I work quite a bit. I think I'm doing like 23 hours this week, so I'm kind of busy with that, but that's not really going to get in the way of my reading plans. I also have begun drafting my first draft of my fantasy book, so I'm holding myself to about 1,500 words every day. That's my word count goal, and it's definitely going to be difficult and challenging. I really just want to write it and get the words out of my brain and onto a page. But if you want more updates from me about my book, definitely go follow my Instagram, which is norahsnovels, same as my YouTube. So I'll quickly take you through my TBR, which like I said is 4 books, and it is kind of overwhelming a little bit. Like I wish I wasn't reading 4 books, but it's okay. The first one is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is my buddy read with my friend Haley, and we started this like a couple weeks ago, but I have not made that much progress at all. I think it's just a very different writing style than I was expecting. It's very like academic, and it makes sense because the main character, Emily Wilde, is a professor. So of course she's gonna kind of talk more like eloquently. So I'm enjoying that because it really seems like I'm in her head. I'm getting her like really accurate thoughts, but it is a bit more difficult to read. It's not very easy to read. I'm really not that far into it. I'm only 35 pages in, so I definitely need to make some progress. We had set like 50 pages a day goals, but I failed at that quite badly. These other books in my TBR are definitely ones that I am like really into, and one of those is As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the final book in the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, and I started this yesterday and I got up to page 40. So again, I'm not that far into it. I did just start it, but wow, I'm really loving this so far. It's definitely different from the other 2 books. Like, we're starting off and Pip is in a very dark place from the final events of Good Girl Bad Blood, and I just love being in her head and seeing the choices she makes. I don't necessarily like the choices she's making at the beginning of this book, but I do understand them because of all that she's been through. It's just really hard for her. And also, Max Hastings, when I catch you, we're gonna have some trouble. This entire series has been a very quick read for me. So maybe saying I'll finish it this week isn't very realistic, so I'd like to say I'll get at least halfway through this week. I think that's fair. Next on the list we have The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J Maas. This is a reread for me. I just recently reread Air of Fire. I listened to it on audiobook and it was such a great experience. So I decided to pick this up before I reread Queen of Shadows as well next month. So I'm almost done with the first novella, and then I'll move on to The Assassin and the Healer. And these are kind of just like whenever I feel like reading it. Like, it's very low commitment for me, even though like I just love this world so much. I definitely feel pulled to this out of all the other books I'm reading. But this is kind of just going to be like, if I feel like reading a novella, I'll do it. It's not a very high priority, even though I probably will reach for this most. The final book I'm currently reading is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. This was also on my July TBR, and I'm listening to this on audiobook, and I'm quite enjoying the audiobook. It's narrated by Meryl Streep, so she's kind of like voicing out the different characters, and like I can tell she is really putting her all into this because she is an actress. She's not my favorite narrator, but she is pretty good. So I am up to chapter 8, which is about 100 pages in, so like I guess 35-ish% I think is what Libby said. And yeah, it's definitely not my favorite story. I think I just tend to gravitate towards more like fantastical high-stakes stories. This reads like journal entries and kind of like a diary in a way, because the main character, Laura, is recounting the story of her as like a famous actress and her relationship with this famous actor, Peter Duke. She's recounting her past to her 3 daughters. It takes place during COVID, which is really interesting because I've never read a book that like kind of talks about really modern, like real world events like that. So I wouldn't say it's my favorite because I just tend to not enjoy stories that like bring in COVID or just like kind of real world things. Like, they can be contemporary, but like I don't need to know like what time period, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. But quickly, I wanted to actually do a small little unhaul of books. I thought that'd be fun to talk about. So let's move over to my bookshelf and I will go through them with you. Okay, so I have quite the stack here. I kind of just was going through my shelves the other day and I was really thinking about the books that I've either read and I don't see myself rereading, or the books that I've had on my shelf for ages and I just feel like I'm not gonna like them. Like, yes, I did spend money on them, or yes, I did like willingly choose them, but just looking at them now, I'm like, I have not felt pulled to these and I probably never will. So we have quite a bunch to talk about. So I'll take you through the ones that I have read first and do a little discussion on those. So the first one is Guild by Raven Kennedy. I read this in April, I think, and I did not like it. It was 2 stars. Just really disappointing, especially because people compared it a lot to Throne of Glass, which is a favorite series of mine, and I just did not get those vibes. It was very slow, there was no plot, and the characters were really annoying and frustrating, so I am not continuing the series, and this will find a better home somewhere. I'm not sure if I'll sell it on Pango or donate it yet. And the next one is another popular one. It's Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I've read the first 2 books in this series, and I started the 3rd one, and I just kind of DNF'd it. I just wasn't really into it, and I just don't really care about the series anymore. It was an enjoyable read, and I did enjoy Wildfire as well, but I never see myself rereading this, and truly it's not really my favorite romance book. There are other romance books I've read that I enjoy more, so I feel like there's no reason to keep it. I can give it to another home and someone else will enjoy it. This one is Family of Liars by E. Lockhart. I do still have the copy of We Were Liars, and I'm keeping that because I annotated it and I did quite enjoy that book. And this one I enjoyed as well, but I just really don't see a reason to hang on to it. I didn't annotate this one. It's kind of just taking up space on my shelf. And I did feel like I enjoyed We Were Liars more than this, so I just don't see a reason to hang on to it anymore. And then now we have 4 that I haven't read and I just don't see myself reading. First one is Blood on the Tide by Katie Robert. If you watch my little free library video, I did get this in that video and I was excited about it at the time, but I mainly just grabbed it because it was the only one that looked like interesting and I kind of heard of, but I haven't gotten to it since I got it, and truly I just don't really see myself getting to it at all. Like, mainly the reason I picked it up is because it has vampires and mermaids, and I love mermaids, so I was like, duh, sign me up. But then I was kind of flipping through it and I was just reading some of the passages, and just the writing, it's just not good. It's not very good, and I just don't see myself giving this more than like a 3-star. So I have no reason to really get to it. I haven't felt pulled to it, so goodbye. And the next one is a duology, and I don't even think I bought these books. I think my mom and her friend gave them to me because they got them from their podcast or something, but it is Uncanny Times and Uncanny Vows by Laura Ann Gilman. I haven't heard anything about these, but they sounded good because they're kind of like spooky. It takes place in 1913 and it has something to do with these, I guess, I don't know if they're spirits or just like spooky people called the Uncanny. It follows these 2 siblings who hunt them down. So it does sound interesting, but I've had these for a couple years and I have not felt pulled to pick them up, even during spooky season when I'm always wanting to read something scary. I just truly haven't felt any inclination to read these, so I think I'm just gonna say goodbye. The last one is one that I did by myself, and I got this last year in a blind date with a book. It's in a vlog somewhere, I truly can't remember which one. And so when I opened it, I was intrigued because it sounds like Bridgerton meets Six of Crows. That's how I read the synopsis in my head, that's what came to my mind. And so I was really intrigued by it, but again, I just haven't felt pulled to it. I have not had the inclination to pick it up at all. And that is Unladylike Lessons in Love by Amita Murray. So I'm sure this is not a bad book by any means, but I just don't really care. I feel like I won't care about the characters, and I just feel like if I want something like Bridgerton, I'll just watch Bridgerton, or if I want something like Six of Crows, I'll just read Six of Crows. So I'm sure this is someone's cup of tea, but I just don't really see myself liking it very much. Again, I don't think it'd be more than like a 3-star. So that brings down my physical TBR a little bit, not too much. We still have about 80 books to get through, and I'm slowly making progress on that. So unboxing July's FairyLoot. I'm very excited. I'm a bit worried. It's a bit dinged up, but I'm hoping the book's still alright. So the theme was Dancing with Danger, and I had known what this book was going to be. That's why I decided to get it, and I'm so excited. You're telling me that's not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? The map is fantastic. I'm actually so excited for this. Like, I genuinely can't believe I got this edition because I was so excited for this book. It's definitely one of my most anticipated releases of 2025. This art is absolutely gorgeous. I don't think I'll put this one on display just because this is stunning. The original cover looks like this, so it's more like blue, while this one is more green. But I really don't know which one I like more. I think the green is a bit more pleasing to me just because it's one of my favorite colors, and I feel like there's more pink on this one, but honestly I can't decide which one I love more because the original one is also really pretty. And the art on the naked hardcover and sprayed edges, I'm very impressed with this. From the FairyLoots I've got so far, I have loved them. I won't be able to keep it up just because I can't afford it, but the ones that I have gotten from them I am in love with and I'm so impressed with. I cannot wait to read this. This is definitely like really high up on my TBR now, even though it shouldn't be, and I still have my 2 other FairyLoots that I bought and still haven't read. For a quick synopsis, this basically follows the main character Vasily, who was once a dancer in King Ilian's court until he framed her for murder. So she spent some time like imprisoned for it, but suddenly he summons her and wants her to be a spy in order to earn her freedom. And that just sounds really interesting. It kind of reminds me of Throne of Glass in a way, but I'm really hoping the king is just not as bad. It just sounds like such an interesting premise and such a like perfect fantasy story. It's definitely right up my alley. Are you serious? There's a ribbon bookmark? Shut up! That's so cute! Oh my gosh. The only complaint I have is that the sprayed edges on top just look a little bit rough. I don't know if you can see very well. I don't know if you can see. It just looks a little bit like rough, like right here. So that's really my only complaint, is that it looks a bit weird, but I think that just might be that like little corner of the pages. I'm not really too upset just because everything else is absolutely perfect.
Is it recording?
Yes, it's been recording for like a minute.
Oh, okay.
He's watching me and I feel intimidated. Okay, it's a new day. I have some reading updates. So it was very slow at work today, so I read a lot of As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, and I can't remember where I said I was, but I got up to page 95, so I'm like at like 10. Oh, what happened to my book? No. It's messed up. Oh. I think I'm like 10% through, but that 10% is damaged now. Dang it, what did I do? Anyways, as for my thoughts, I'm enjoying this so far. Pip is really unhinged, and she's doing a lot of things that I don't like and that I don't understand, but I also do understand because she's very traumatized from what happened. Anyways, it's interesting to see her actions and see how she reacts to certain things, because she does have a stalker now, which is very spooky and scary, and I'm really nervous to see what happens. But this book, just like the first 2, is just super I can't stop looking at me. So this book, just like the first 2, is just very fast paced, and I'm definitely flying through it, and I'm excited to read more, even though I'm really scared and I still hate Max Hastings. He sucks. And then as for Tom Lake, which was my audiobook, I got up to about 60% through. I listened to it while I got ready for work this morning, and I'm still just feeling okay about this. It's definitely kind of just random like scenes. Like, yes, there's a plot, but it's not like there's a lot going on. And a lot of the characters are kind of frustrating me too, or at least starting to frustrate me. Like, they're very realistic, and that's because this book is set in like, or at least the present part of it is set in like 2020, so it's very modern. But I just don't like that aspect very much, because they were talking about, basically the mom was talking about how this guy that she used to know was crazy now, and a lot of the daughters were like, oh well, you can't say crazy anymore, you can't use that word. And it was just very weird to me to like hear cancel culture being talked about in like a fictional sense, and I just don't think I liked that much. Like, I don't like cancel culture in the first place, and I don't think it needs to be in a book, so it kind of took me out of the story a bit. But that's been like the only thing. As for the past part of the story, I think the atmosphere has been set very well, and there's a lot of great descriptions of like the lake that they're on and the orchard that they visit. And there's kind of like some crazy plot twists. Like there's a lot more drama than I thought there would be, even though it's not like explicitly said on the page. You see how the characters interact, and then you make connections, and you're like, wait a second, he's her husband. And yeah, so I'm hoping to finish this in the next couple of days, but I'm not sure what I'll think by the end. We'll have to see. And then yesterday I read a lot more of The Assassin's Blade, so I got up to the third novella, which is The Assassin in the Desert, so about like 120-ish pages in. So like maybe like a third or a quarter of the way through. But it's just nice to be back into this world and see baby Selena, even though she's not really a baby, you know, she's a big fat assassin in this one. It's just nice to be back with Sam and kind of see like the good old days of Selena's story before everything went kind of crazy. So as for the two novellas I've read so far, they're definitely not my favorites, and they are a bit slower. I remember when I read this the first time, it just dragged for me, but this one is moving a lot quicker, and I think it's because I've read it before, but maybe I've just been more engaged. I don't really know, but yeah, I think I'm moving through this a lot quicker than I did the first time. And as for how writing is going, yesterday I had a great session. I wrote about 1,700 words, and I'm about to have another writing session tonight, and I'm really excited. It's really fun to just kind of like play around with this world that I've created, listen to music, and I'm really enjoying the process so far. So more updates to come on that. Good morning, everyone. I'm actually getting ready for work right now, so I have my makeup that I'm about to do. But I wanted to chat with you about my reading progress in As Good as Dead, because I am about, I think, a little under halfway through now, about halfway through, about 200 pages in. We just got to a crazy part. Things are changing, plot twists are happening. I just don't know how to feel, because it's not that I'm not liking it. It's very engaging, just like with the other books in the series. I like absolutely can't put it down, and I'm just so, like, it's all I'm thinking about. If I'm not reading it, that's all I want to do is just read it. Sorry, I look crazy. But at the same time, we just got to a big plot twist where something happens, and obviously I won't say, but I guessed it. And so normally if I guess the plot twist, I'm like, dang, oh my gosh. And it might not affect how I feel too much, and I think for this book it's not going to affect how I feel, just because I love the series, and for like the finale of the series, I'm not mad about it, you know? As soon as the hints were dropped and like Pip was going on this big long like kind of deduction thing about trying to figure out who it was, I like immediately was like, oh yeah, it's this person. But Pip went an entirely different direction, and you know, normally I would be like, definitely could be the person Pip was saying. In the first two books I thought it was these certain people, but then it actually turned out to be these other people who I never would have guessed. So that's what I was expecting for this book. I was like, oh, there's no way it's going to be the person I'm thinking, because the past two books it wasn't. But at least where I got up to right now, it's the person that I guessed. And I don't know why, I'm just kind of feeling annoyed, because I'm like, how did Pip not guess that? Because it was right there. Like, it was so plain as day who it was after she read this bit of evidence. So I just don't understand how she missed that. And you know, maybe if I read farther, it will come out and it will make a lot more sense. I'm hoping. Sorry, I look crazy. So I'm not exactly like mad at the book for that, and like kind of making Pip seem a bit, not like stupid, but like it went over her head in a way. I'm not like upset about it for that, but I'm just kind of nervous to see where the rest of the book goes, because like everything could have been avoided if she would have just guessed that person. That's the main update I have with As Good as Dead. I'm still really enjoying it. It's really fast paced, and it's just interesting to see how like kind of an unhinged Pip is being, and I can't say I like it, because I just don't like, I understand why she is doing the things she's doing, and you know, her behaviors from what she's experienced, but also I'm like, girl, take care of yourself better. And she's just so hooked on figuring this out, and I just wish she would prioritize her safety a bit more, but we'll just have to see what happens. I have a feeling that since I have over half of the book left, she's gonna go through a lot more, because where we're at right now, it makes it seem like it's the big final event, but we still have like half of the book, so I don't really know where it could go. And so I feel like that's what I mean, like I feel like things are gonna change, and I feel like my guess is gonna be wrong, or like something is gonna twist to where everything I'm saying right now, the people who've read this book are gonna be like, haha, you know, what are you talking about? Even though I'm being very vague because this is spoiler free. But I have listened to some more of Tom Lake as well. I'm up to, I think, 60-ish% through this, and I will say this book is still just okay. It's just kind of repetitive and boring in a way. Like, I want to see what the end result is going to be and what caused the main character Lara to like become distant from this Peter Duke character who was like her lover back in the day, because she's recounting her stories of her life and her past to her children in the present day. And so we're just flitting a lot between these two timelines, and I don't dislike that aspect, but I just feel very like disjointed, and I just feel like there's no actual plot. It's just a lot of like recollecting memories and then talking about those same memories, so there's just not a lot happening. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it definitely just makes me kind of not as interested, but I'm still hanging on just to see what happened between them. How did Lara get to where she is now with her husband and her children in the present day at the farm? So I'm not really expecting a big twist or a big shocking reveal or anything like that. Nothing like That's In As Good As Dead. So I'm gonna lower my expectations a bit, but I'm still just gonna hang on and see what happens, because I am curious, and I'm already like almost 70% through anyways. But the audiobook is definitely the way to go. I will say Meryl Streep is a very good narrator, and she does good voices for each character, and sometimes she does read it like she's actually having a conversation, and like she actually takes on the role. Like she's not reading it in character, she'll like laugh while she's saying a sentence, and it makes it seem like she's just really into it. And so I will say it's admirable narration, but it kind of makes me laugh sometimes. It's a bit silly. And then I haven't read any more of The Assassin's Blade. I'm hoping to read another novella or two this weekend since I don't work this weekend. I've been working this entire week. So my goals for this weekend are to finish As Good As Dead and hopefully finish The Assassin's Blade. I also think I will finish Tom Lake by this weekend as well, just because I'll do a lot of driving. And I listened to the audiobook on, I think, 1.5 speed or something like that, so it goes a bit quicker. I don't even know if I've talked about my buddy read of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, but I don't know if I'll get to that. We'll just have to see how these books go, because I'm just so invested in them right now. I'm like, I don't think I can switch to a fourth book at this moment. As for a little writing update too, as I said, I've been writing like every single night, and it's been really good. Last night I had some trouble focusing. I was just so exhausted for some reason, and I did not have motivation. So it was hard to like push myself to actually sit down and do it, and it definitely took me way longer because I was just not there. Like my brain was just not working. But thankfully my boyfriend really pushed me. He was just like, keep going, you're so close, because I'd hit like I think 500 words or something, and I was like, ugh, I don't want to do it anymore. He's like, you're so close. And so I eventually hit 1,000 words, and I was like, I think I'm done. He's like, but you're so close. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And before I knew it, I had hit my 1,500 goals. So I've been doing good at that, and I am almost at, I think, 8,000 words is the next milestone I have to hit. So I'm getting really close to 10K. I would like to hit 10K words by this weekend. I think my biggest issue is that I'm kind of getting like stuck in the plot a bit. Like I'm trying not to think too much about what I'm writing while I'm writing. I'm trying to just get the words out, and like, doesn't even matter if it's good, doesn't even matter if it makes sense, just like write it. So I skipped over a chapter that was going to be pretty like mundane and kind of right before the turning point of the story. I just didn't think I would be able to focus on that and like get really into it and write something like I could stick with. So I skipped a chapter and I wrote kind of like the catalyst event, and I'm pretty proud of it. I feel like it went really well. I'm definitely switching voices helped me a lot because we introduced a new character, and I'm just so excited because this is where it starts like picking up. So I feel like I've been writing the exposition for so long, which is great, but I kind of needed to switch gears for a second, and then I'll go back to rewrite that chapter later. But anyways, I need to go to work now, so I will update you another time. Hello everyone. I am laying in bed currently because I've started my period and I feel miserable. So it's currently about noon. I go into work at 2 today. So I'm just going to sit here and edit before I have to go into work because I just don't want to. So I'm going to try and rest a bit. But this past weekend I actually finished 3 books, so I'm going to talk to them and give you a little mini review. So sorry the lighting's horrible, but I'm just going to jump right into it. So the first one I finished was As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the final book in the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, and I have been talking about this a bit. I think when I last updated you, I was at the halfway point. There was a big plot twist and something crazy happened. And I will say I flew through the rest of this book. Like, I was about halfway through, and I think Saturday I read the remaining half because I was just so invested in it. I literally could not put it down. I was so engaged, and I didn't really know what to think of what I was reading while I was reading it because it was so crazy. And the ending of this book was devastating. Like, I'm kind of mad at the ending, but overall I did really enjoy it. It wasn't my favorite out of the series. I still think my favorite is the first book, just because it, like, I couldn't guess anything. With this one, I guessed a lot. In the second one, I think I guessed some things, and that doesn't really make or break my like enjoyment of this book. You know, I wasn't really not enjoying it because I guessed it. I wasn't enjoying it because it felt really different. It felt like Pitt was doing a lot of out of character things. Like, it didn't really feel like her, but at the same time I still enjoyed it a lot. And obviously this is a spoiler-free vlog, so I will not be sharing any details. I'm gonna try and keep it very vague. But I had my heart broken by this ending because I did not get, I'll just say, the reunion that I wanted. And I'm very devastated because, like, this is it. There's no more content. There's no more of these characters, and I just feel kind of duped out of getting what I wanted, because it ends in a very sad place. And, you know, we get hope at the end, but that's all we get. We don't get any other scenes, we don't get any other answers. We just get like that little hint and that little tease of it. And I'm kind of mad. Like, I kind of feel like we deserve, you know, the final moments between these characters and like something happy to leave off with. And all we get is like that hope. So we can just like assume, but we don't get actual solid details. So I kind of wish the ending had been a bit more concrete and less open-ended for the readers. But overall, the plot of this was very engaging. I flew through it. I read it very, very quickly, just like I had this entire series. I just feel like it was a lot different, and that's not a bad thing. I still enjoyed it. I still definitely recommend this series as a whole. I just didn't really think the final book would be like this, so I ended up giving it 4 stars, and I'm happy to have completed a series, even though I'm very sad it's over. And then after that, I picked up the novella, which was Killjoy, also by Holly Jackson, and this is just a short little murder mystery party short story. It follows Pip before the entire series, before she even started covering, you know, the murders and the cases and things like that. And she's at her friend Connor's birthday party, and they're set in like a 1920s murder mystery, and so it kind of shows you her character and her mindset before any of the events. And it's cool to see how much she's changed throughout the series, but also especially knowing what we know after we finished it, or at least when I read it I had finished the entire series, so it was cool to see how she had changed and like think of different things that happened throughout the books that connected to her in here. And it was just interesting to see how her mindset has always been kind of the way it is. Like, she has been the same kind of person who is always a problem solver and just wants the truth. and it was just very, very, you know, short and sweet, but I will say it was a pretty engaging short story, and there were some moments that actually were very spooky. So I give this 3 stars. It's nothing to write home about, but I definitely recommend reading it if you enjoyed the series and you want a little bit more Pip content. Um, Nothing special, but it was good. And then the last book I finished, actually just finished, which is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. I finished listening to the audiobook a couple hours ago while I was journaling, and I still am not sure how I feel about this. I enjoyed it and I do recommend it, especially if you like Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. This is very different from it, but is kind of following like a former Hollywood like kind of actress and kind of that side of life and that side of things, and the storytelling reminded me a lot of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, where she's recounting it into present day, but you're also getting the past plot line at the same time. And normally I really like that aspect of storytelling and how we kind of get the best of both worlds with that writing. But this one just felt a bit disjointed, especially because the only events that were happening, like the only interesting plot points, were in the past. In the present, nothing was really happening because the present plot line takes place during COVID, when the family is like kind of locked down on their farm and they're just telling the stories and hearing the stories, and like that's all they're doing, and they're just working on the farm. So the past storyline was definitely more interesting and engaging and definitely the focal point of the story, while the present plotline mainly focused on the current family members and kind of their thoughts and their relationships with each other. So I do think it was well written. I think it was a good story, but it didn't have that same charm that I love with Taylor Jenkins Reid books, and this is a different author, so of course it's going to be different. But at first it just really reminded me of it, so I guess I was kind of disappointed. I guess I was kind of expecting something more. But one thing I like about this author and her storytelling in this book is that she kind of builds it up for some great big mystery, for some like confusing aspects that the main character Laura was telling her daughters, where we don't really know the truth until she tells it at the very, very end. And so she was kind of building it up to be this big grand reveal. And I won't spoil anything, but I will just say I kind of got my hopes up. But I like how this author doesn't really like let you down. Like every decision that was made, every reveal that is made feels very realistic and feels more of just like a human choice and like a human's life and Lara's life than something for the plot. So I think the way she writes her characters is very like real and very like kind of in depth, and so I really appreciated that. I won't say this story was my favorite, but I am glad I read it. Overall, I am giving it 3 stars. I don't think I'll ever like reread it or think about it again, or at least that much. It just didn't have that much of an effect on me, but it was very, very enjoyable. So the final book that I have been reading, I have kind of been talking about, is The Assassin's Blade, and I'm hoping to finish this week before the next month starts, so I can get into my August TBR, which you can go watch. It should be up by now. I'd like to finish this before then, just so I can kind of have a fresh start and move on to Queen of Shadows. So I will continue to update you with this very soon. I literally have my book light set up next to the camera so you can see me, otherwise I'd be extremely backlit from my lamp back here. And I'm so sorry if you can hear my fan going, but it is hot. We're in the dog days of summer, and I'm just ready for fall. Genuinely, I had to pull out the pumpkin blanket because I just need the cool weather. I just need it to be fall. I need it to not be this hot every day. But it's currently July 31st. I don't know if you can see that on my phone. And I still have not finished the Assassin's Blade. I really wanted to finish it this month so I can jump into August with a fresh TBR and kind of like a clean slate to start all these new books I want to start. But I'm only about halfway through, so I thought I would spend the rest of tonight reading, seeing how far I can get. Honestly, I don't think I'll finish it. I truly don't think I'll have the mental capacity to read, what, over 200 pages in one night just to finish it, especially when the subject material is what it is. If you know, you know. And I have read this before, so it should be an easy read, but I always kind of struggled with the Assassin's Blade. Like, I enjoyed it, I thought it was a really good book and like a good kind of additive to Selena's story. Like, it was a good supplement for like what she was doing before the main events of the series. But at the same time, some of these stories are just kind of boring. So I'm in the middle of the assassin and the desert. So she's with Ansel right now. And, you know, it's all fun and games. It's very adventurous, very fun. But I'm kind of bored. I'm kind of ready to move on to the heartbreaking parts. Like, I don't want my heart broken again, but I'm ready to get through it. So I'm gonna sit back here and get all cozy. It's very like windy right now, so it makes me think it's gonna rain a bit, which will be perfect reading weather. But I cleaned up my room, so I'll have a fresh start for August. I didn't even mean to do that for the first of the month. I kind of just wanted to clean up my room because it was getting really bad. I've just been piling stuff everywhere. So we've got all fresh and ready to go. I'm going to update you maybe when I finish this, maybe when I make more progress. I'm not really sure yet, we'll have to see. I don't know if you can hear it outside, but it's thundering. It's like about to rain and I'm so excited. But I actually wanted to update you quickly because I just finished the Assassin's Blade. So it is actually like the 5th of August, so I didn't end up finishing this before the month started like I had hoped, but I'm okay with that. I'm kind of glad I took my time with this a bit, because it just reminds me how much I love this series, how it's a favorite of mine, and just how impactful it is. Seriously, I can't get enough. And reading something like this just reminds me why I love reading books so much. They just make me feel things, and I just love getting to read about characters. And Selena is definitely such an interesting character. Like, I love following her story. And oh, I just cannot wait to reread Queen of Shadows next. But as I was reading, I was just thinking there was a scene with Arabin and Selena, and obviously I won't spoil anything. If you haven't read the series, you definitely should. But I think even saying this, you're really not going to have context, so you're not going to understand unless you have read it. But their relationship, I finally figured out why I am so intrigued by it and why I just love like their stories so much. Like, I don't like Arabin as a character. He's very intriguing, but I won't say I like him. Obviously, he's done awful things. But even in Queen of Shadows, I think the reason Queen of Shadows is my favorite, and by extension, The Assassin's Blade, is because their relationship reminds me so much of Silco and Jinx in Arcane. And I never really knew that until I watched Arcane, and I was so invested in the relationship. Like, it was just that weird border between father and friend and lover that never manifested itself. I think that's the wording that was used in here. Oh my gosh, it's so strange and I don't understand it, but it's just so incredibly mysterious to me. Like, I don't know if that's the right word, mysterious. It's just so interesting to me. And I felt that way when I watched Arcane and saw how Silco and Jinx were to each other, and that is exactly how Arabin and Selena are to each other. And wow, it just makes me love this so much more. Obviously, I'm devastated by the end of this, so a reread was definitely a sad time. I'm glad I reread it, but I didn't like to be reminded of the pain. So yeah, I ended up giving this 4 stars the second time around as well. It's such a great book, but definitely not my favorite in the series, especially because the first couple novellas just move so slowly to me. I feel like the first 3, I forget their titles, but the first 3 just kind of drag on, like they kind of feel side questy, and they're still good and engaging stories, but the last 2 are the ones that really hit hard for me. So that is actually the end of this vlog. I hope you enjoyed watching. I finished 4 books in total, which I feel looks pretty good, and all of them were from my July TBR, so we're doing pretty good with that. I can't wait to see what the month of August brings me. I have a lot of fun videos planned, and hopefully I can stay with it as I start school. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!